How are you doing? How are you enjoying retirement? Are you truly retired, would you say?
Well, you never say never, do you?
Neil Warnock has been appointed on a short-term contract and he will be in charge until the end of the season.
We wanted to ask you about what you think are the most important traits to succeed as a manager. Is that something you've reflected on? If you had to pick 3 or 4 things that you think are absolutely key to succeeding in English football as a manager?
I think from my point of view, man management is the most. I think I've had my success because of the way I've dealt with my players, the way I've tried to make average players good players great, and I think to get the dressing room and the promotions that I've had, you've had to get that dressing room behind you that's going to die for you. Really,
you've got to fucking die to get 3 points.
And I always look at players. Do I want him in the trenches with me? Or I shake somebody's hand and one shook lad's hand once and it was wet, and oh God, I thought I can't be having him. But other than that, I think man management. You can be the best coach in the world, but if you don't handle players, if you don't get the best out of your players, you'll never succeed. And it's not just football, okay? It's in any walk of life, whether you run a shop, a village shop or a cafe. You've got to look after your staff. Those staff have got to want to come into work. They've got to want to work for you and give their best for you. And although, like after a game, you've probably seen 1 or 2 of my rollickins. After a game, when I've had those times with the players and I've said my piece, I'll go out and do the press, and then I'll come back in, and that's gone. Everything's gone. I don't dwell on things. Whereas when I was a player, one particular manager, if I fell out with him, he would walk down the tunnel alongside you and never even say hello. He'd just blank you. He didn't want to know you. We used to call, what did we used to call ourselves then? The plague. We'd think we'd got the plague. The lads who weren't in the team, we just forgot. But I have always made an effort that the lads who aren't in the team, I spend more time with. I try and talk to them more, try and give them a lift, because I know at some stage I'm going to need them lads to come in and probably help me get over the line. So I think man management is the best thing. And advice for managers started off would be to try and get a good chairman, which is easier said than done, really. I've had a few bad ones, but I have had a few good ones.
I mean, the thing you're saying about man management, it probably sounds like quite a modern thing to people listening. That sounds like something you were doing that was quite innovative, because the impression you get from quite a lot of footballers I've talked to from years gone by, let's say, is there was very much a sort of, you look after yourselves. We're here. It's a man's game. We're here to play football. Don't be such a pussy or whatever. So yeah, you were kind of an innovative manager then when you were starting out.
I think every manager has different things. I think some managers not talk a good game, but I think they know what they want or what they'd like to do. But I think when you go to a club, I only go to clubs that are struggling. Okay, I've never really picked a club up that's doing well. I've just gone like a Red Adair, putting the fires out. And when I've gone to clubs, you can't go in and say, I'm going to play this way, I'm going to play that way. You go into a club and look at what you have. You look at the strengths of the squad and the weaknesses of the squad, and you pick a system to suit that. A lot of managers go in and I'm going to play this system or that system. You can't do that. You have to look at what you have and get the best out of what you have. And I think a lot of managers slip up like that. They want to appease the fans, they want to play pretty football, or they want to do this and that. And sometimes they forget that you've got to win games as well, So it's a catch-22 really in that.
Is that something you chose then? You felt like that was your strength?
When I played, I used to like coaching while I was playing. I used to be talking all the time, rabbiting on. And then
did the others like that?
Well, they accepted it. I think, they accepted it. I'd always be talking. I was a winger. I'd be talking to centre forward, and I'd be talking to the full back and that. And then I liked when I coming to the end of my career, as a player. I knew I was never going to get to the top. I played 300 odd games, but it's all lower down. I knew I was never going to be good enough, and I thought, right, I want to start managing. I've looked at all these managers that I've had. I've had about 20 managers, and I wanted to get the best bits from them, from each one, and the bad bits, throw them away, and get them up in my mind, and take my managerial. And that's why, first of all, 1972, the village green at Hartlepool, a group of lads knocked on my door and said one night, will you come and take us training, please? I said, well, what team is it? He said, well, we haven't got a team. We just train on the village green. And I said, right, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, get a group of you there, I'll be there. And of course, I went, and I took this group. There must have been about 14 lads. They were only supposed to be 6, but there were 14 lads. And I took them as if it was a professional session. And all the stretchers, all that sprint, and then we had the game. And I really enjoyed it. And I started taking these group, and we entered the league the next season. And I never forget, we did a set-piece corner kick and scored in one of the games. And I'm like, you won't have seen the film Kez, I don't think, but this Brian, he had a whistle around his neck, and he was the coach, And I just felt like him. I run down the line and high-five some of the players. And I really enjoyed that. So I thought then, I'm gonna have a go at this. And then at the end of my career, I ended up getting, my first job was at Gainsborough Trinity, but I did a Sunday League team as well. And in the Sunday League team, I used to take 50p subs off them, and I used to put the money in for the electric meter that we trained. We had one light training. I used to take all the kit after the game down to the laundrette. And what I did with the Sunday League is I treated them like a proper team. They had to report at 10 o'clock. If they didn't report at 10 o'clock, they didn't play. And then they had to put the socks and the shirts the right way after the game. Because even now you get some pros, just throw it on the floor, they let the kit man pick it up. I think that's disrespectful. So I used to say, right, put your socks, shorts right way. And I used to collect that, and with me and the secretary used to take them down to the laundrette. So it were little things. I also got them a jumper each at that time, a V-neck jumper each. When we played away from home, we all went in the same. I know it sounds silly, but
no,
just give it give us that the team spirit and lads wanting to play for us. Yeah. And the only thing I would say is, when I first started on the Sunday League, one of my best strikers, quite often the lads used to say, Gaffer, he's not coming today, and I knew he'd had a bad night. Sunday morning, he'd been on the tiles, and I used to know where he lived. I used to drive round, bang on the door, and he'd come to the window and say, I'm not very good. Gaffer said, you better get out of here now, whether you're fit or not fit, come on in here now, you're playing. And I used to drag him out and get him up to the ground, and he'd sober up while he were playing.
There's no better way to sober up, is there, than having a game of football? It's absolutely fine. What you're talking about with the jumpers, though, it's like, again, this is innovative, because if you think about a lot of the stuff that Gareth Southgate's been lauded for doing with the England football team, giving them a sense of identity, talking about everyone having their caps that are, you've got your number for which number you are to play for England, for example, and having a sense of identity. I mean, this is the stuff that you were doing with your Sunday League side.
And I didn't change. I never changed, really, from my Sunday League to the Premier League. The same principles I've really used in my career. Trying to get the best out, making them feel important, and also not forgetting about other things like the families and things like that. The families are important. Your family's more important than football. Any problems, off you go. Don't worry about football, whether you're my best player or not. And I think that's always come up. I think one of the lads, Paddy McNair, said to me when I left Middlesbrough, he said, Gaffer, I must tell you, I've never enjoyed getting out of bed as much in my career to come training.
Oh.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every day. And that meant a lot to me, that.